No constitutional right, in my view, including my oath, is intended to be absolute.
Hello everyone, Ace here, and today let's talk about New Mexico, and how the governor of New Mexico has decided that the Constitution and people's rights are not absolute, because it's an emergency, bro. Which means the government can do absolutely whatever it wants, apparently. In this case, she has flat out completely banned carrying firearms in public in Albuquerque for a period of 30 days. For the record, this isn't a law that was passed, but rather an executive order, meaning that it completely circumvents the usual process for this sort of thing anyways. Not that this decision was constitutional in any way, because obviously it's not. So when confronted by the fact that she took an oath to uphold the Constitution, she decided to declare that her oath was not absolute because the Constitution itself is not absolute. In other words, as far as the New Mexico governor is concerned, practically speaking, the ordinary citizen has no rights. Because any rights they do have on paper can simply be circumvented with the phrase, "It's an emergency, bro."
You took an oath to the Constitution. Isn't it unconstitutional to say you cannot exercise your carry license?
With one exception, and that is if there's an emergency, and I've declared an emergency for a temporary amount of time, I can invoke additional powers. No constitutional right, in my view, including my oath, is intended to be absolute. There are restrictions on free speech. There are restrictions on my freedoms.
Imagine if someone was to apply that reasoning to the New Mexico governor herself, with some of the other rights that happen to be guaranteed within the Constitution. Let's say that, hypothetically speaking, a lynch mob gets really pissed off at the New Mexico governor. And so, while she's screaming about her rights to a trial, and while they're putting a noose around her neck, all they have to do is simply shout, "It's an emergency, bro. You're a tyrant. Therefore, your right to a trial is not absolute. Therefore, we can do whatever we want to you." And the thing is, that governor would have absolutely zero counter-argument, because they're using her own reasoning against her. So yes, this governor, in her sheer ineptitude, has inadvertently advocated for the legality of lynch mobs. Or at the very bare minimum, argued that there is a place for them as far as the Constitution is concerned, because the big reason that lynch mobs are morally abhorrent in a civilized society, the fact that they deny people the right to a trial, doesn't really apply when that person's right to a trial is not absolute. Now personally, I think that the right to a trial is itself paramount, and is indeed absolute, and thus I am absolutely against lynch mobs as a concept. I will say, in addition, though, that I believe that the governor's actions do need to be criminalized. The simple fact is that there very clearly needs to be some very serious legal consequences for any politician who actively tries to subvert the Constitution. Basically, politicians continue to do these sorts of things for the same reasons that shoplifting is on the rise in California, because they don't have to face actual personal consequences in the court of law. So yeah, ultimately those are my thoughts on this whole situation, and why the governor of New Mexico is an absolute moron, who clearly has put zero thought into this. Now, for those curious, I will of course be leaving a link in the description below to the source that I have used, so you can check it out for yourself if you should so desire. But in any case, this has been Ace. Hope to see you guys again soon. Take care. Ace out.